You never really think about your feet until suddenly they're making you money. Life is weird like that. Most mornings, though, aren't quite that interesting. They're routine. Get up, get dressed, brush my teeth, sometimes with unexpected challenges. My toothbrush snapped this morning, just as I was brushing my teeth. Can you believe that? But you just gotta keep going, right? Adapt, improvise, move on.
Bonini, you're a good girl.
High five. It's funny watching Bonnie do her tricks. She doesn't overthink, she just listens, responds, and trusts the process. There's something in that. We get so caught up in what's hard and what feels impossible, but maybe it's just about showing up, putting in the effort, and trusting that we'll get there. Speaking of effort, getting into my standing frame is never exactly smooth. My legs shake, they spasm, they do their own thing. I used to fight it, but now I've just learned to work with it. A bit of stretching, a few deep breaths, and eventually things settle. Change, whether in the body or in life, takes patience. You can't force it, but you can adapt. And that's why I write. Every day I take a few minutes to reflect. What went well? What made me laugh? What am I grateful for? And this week, one thing stood out. And one of the most amusing things that happened this week is that, yes, I actually sold some pictures of my feet to someone who requested them. You know, it's an odd thing for me. This is the first time that I've sold pictures of my feet on the internet. I would, you know, if you'd have told me when I first got injured that there would be a market for my feet, you know, that people would pay money to see my feet, when you could actually see my feet already on the internet. But it was funny how Chris and I were like, oh, you know, we've got to get the lighting right, make it look good, you know. I'd love to include the photos, but to be honest, out of respect for the guy who paid for them, I feel like that would be a bit cheeky for me to just put them on the internet for free. Maybe splice in like a little bit of footage to give you an idea of like how it happened, and I just felt like a little bit bashful, if I'm honest, a little bit.
I don't know. Do I say hello? No, I don't say hello. It's weird.
Just a bit shy at first, and
This is weird, man.
you know, blue jeans and bare feet.
Blue jeans, bare feet.
And I was a bit giggly, and I kind of like, I don't know. I felt a bit naughty, you know. So Chris was taking all different angles of the feet, you know, and I was like rolling up my jeans and sort of just showing off my feet a little bit. And kind of, really, if I'm honest, there was a mixture of like excitement of like how I felt, because I was, I guess, almost like exploiting myself for monetary gain, and it's the first time I've like monetized my disability in that way. We also made a foot massage video. And one of the things that was really funny was that Chris said, "Don't get my face in it." I was like, what the hell? It's just not like she's giving me a blowjob, she's giving me a foot massage, you know what I mean? But like that gives you an idea of the sentiment, you know, like that we're doing something a little bit risque, you know, even though it's just a foot massage, right? With my clothes on, you know, with the blue jeans on. But she was like, "Don't get my face in it." We hadn't agreed on a price, you know. I thought, I don't know what sort of price to charge, you know, I don't know the resources that are available to this certain individual. So I was like, well, you know, so I put them up on my Patreon as a paid post for like $50 for the photos that were requested, and then another $100 for the video, because there was a video of me getting the foot massage, and I just thought, well, you know, that we'll just see. Chris and I were both like, oh, I hope he likes them, you know. Like, and there was a certain standard of like photo that we were aiming for, like a sort of high quality thing, you know. If someone's going to pay you money, you want good quality pictures, right? So it was a very odd thing, and then he paid for the post. It was great. He said, "Oh, they're amazing, you're really sexy," and that was brilliant. I thought, oh, amazing, awesome. And I was like, "Oh, are you interested in the vid?" And then he messaged back saying, "Yeah, I am interested in the vid, but I'll have to wait for my next payslip." And then that brought up really conflicting feelings for me, because I was like, oh man, this guy, like, you know, he isn't loaded, you know, he's not just like, yeah, you know, give me the feet, baby. So I thought, and then I felt bad, like I was almost exploiting him, like, oh, well, you know, I didn't realise you were that hard up, buddy. Oh, mate, I don't want you to be out of pocket, you know. Maybe I'll lower the price. So I had to interrupt because while I was editing this video, I can't believe it, someone else has randomly logged in on my Patreon and bought the video and the foot pictures. I've made like $200 selling pictures of my feet. This is absolutely ridiculous, completely unexpected. This is actually turning into a fairly lucrative side hustle. So saying that, my DMs are cautiously open, you know? Valentine's Day is coming up. If you want some premium foot content, hit me up, link in the description. Show me the readies, I'll show you some Freddy. Yeah, baby. Brian has also sold pictures of his feet, and also like more explicit stuff. We've spoken about that on the podcast.
I did some nude pictures and stuff to raise money for IVF. We were already $50,000 in debt, and I'm like, nudity became very like nonchalant after I was in the hospital. You got people wiping your ass, you've got people, in and out, changing you, doing all this stuff. So I got to the point where I'm like, yeah, that's my dick. Yep, you've seen it. And I didn't care. So I'm like, maybe these people, like devotees, do you know what devotee is? I've always been really into like nude art, and it was something that I'm like, you know what, I could probably do that. He gave us some money, and it was kind of fun at the same time.
Now he has a lovely daughter, and it's, this is something that happened many years ago, and he's open to talking about it. It's actually really funny. But like now I'm sort of, selling pictures of my feet, and I wonder if it's like a little gateway drug, like a little slippery slope, like first of all, like, pictures of your feet, and then, it's just, it builds up, and you're like, yeah, now stick this cucumber up your bum. You know what I mean? I don't know. I wouldn't do that, but like, I guess everyone's got their price. It's so funny, isn't it? How you introduce this sort of like a payment, this sort of exchange of money for goods and services, and the services that you provide are like, personal pictures. I mean, they're not explicit, but like, where does this road lead? I did feel like a little bit of a porn star. In fact, Benji messaged me. That guy's probably going to wank over your feet, right? And I was like, really? Do you reckon so? He's like, mate, no one pays good money for pictures of feet and then doesn't wank over them. And I was like, oh, crikey, yeah, well, I suppose that does also shed a different light on it, Like, is this sort of material, going to be used for that purpose, Is he going to be getting himself off for it? I don't care, mate, we do what you want with the photos, they're yours now, you've given me money. My friend who I play poker with, he said to me, mate, if I could sell pictures of my feet on the internet, I wouldn't be up on a bloody ladder plastering walls, I'll tell you that much. So I'm like, yeah, why not, Anyway, Bonnie's been itching for a walk all morning. She knows the routine. When the bike comes out, it means adventure. And honestly, I need it as much as she does. There's nothing like getting outside, moving, and feeling that sense of freedom. But before we can get to all that, there's the small matter of packing everything up. Living with a disability is basically a masterclass in adaptation, and today's lesson, getting the boot open. Sometimes it jams, and normally I'd yank it, but with my tennis elbow still playing up, that's not happening. So, time to get creative. Turns out a shovel makes a pretty decent lever. Not the most high-tech solution, but hey, whatever works. Then there's getting the bike in. My arm's still not pulling its weight, so I'm relying on my left. It's slow, awkward, but that's just how it goes. Adapt and overcome. It's all part of the fun. A little challenge here, a little problem solving there. And sure, things don't always go to plan. Sometimes you think it's going to be easy, only to realise you might be in for more than you bargained for. But that's a problem for later. Right now, the sun is shining, Bonnie's ready, and the road is calling. And we're off. Oh yeah, that's better, baby. That's better.
A few moments later.
Oh my god, it is well icy at the lake. I am all of a sudden a little bit apprehensive about taking the bike out. It's so interesting because my house is so sunny. I was like, oh, it's not even that cold. And then now I've come up to the lake, and it's like, the elephant graveyard from The Lion King, Everywhere the light touches is our kingdom, except for the lake. What's the worst that can happen, eh? An adventure. Like, oh shit, oh my god. Actually, I genuinely don't think I can even get to the path. Oh dear, this is really disappointing. This is how people are accessing it. And they're walking over this bit, but my wheelchair bike is definitely not going to get over that bit. The frustrating thing is, I think if I could get to the path, I could definitely cycle around the lake. But that wall of snow is impenetrable. I definitely won't get my wheelchair bike over that. I guess the only thing that we could do is check the other side of the lake and see if that's accessible. Okay, let's go check out the other way.
Few minutes later.
We are in luck. There is a opening right there which I can get on. I still feel a bit apprehensive about going on the icy path. It looks cold, like a lot colder and more intimidating than I thought it was going to be, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, step by step. Every movement is deliberate. Watching out for my dodgy elbow and using my left arm, getting the wheelchair out, setting up the bike, breaking it down one piece at a time. That's how it works. Big tasks always look impossible until you start chipping away at them. Well, we're here and we're going to do it. This is a bit of a fun adventure. Bonnie's just disappeared. She's probably desperate for a poo. Here's the little opening in the snow. It also says no dogs off the lead and no bikes. And we're going to break both of those rules. Bonnie's already off. No hesitation, no second thoughts. She doesn't stop to question if the path is too icy or if the cold is too much. She just runs. Maybe she's onto something. It's funny, before you start, you always find reasons to hesitate. Maybe the path's too rough. Maybe it's too much effort. Maybe today just isn't the day. But once you get going, you realise it was never as big a deal as you made it out to be. I feel really glad that we found a way in. I was really quite dismayed before. But yeah, let's go. The path is solid. The snow packed down just enough to ride. And it's quiet out here. Just the sound of the wheels, the crunch of the ice, and the sound of Bonnie's paws running through the snow. Every few seconds she glances back, just checking to see that I'm still there. She never doubts me, and maybe I shouldn't either. It's funny, half an hour ago this felt like a challenge, and now it's just a ride. The moment you stop thinking about what could go wrong, everything starts feeling simple. Just one push forward, and then another. And before you know it, you're already in the middle of it, wondering why you ever hesitated at all. Well, I have to say, this has been incredible. I've got a right buzz on. I've got like the energy buzz from the exercise. I've got a satisfaction buzz from like not letting that bit over there put me off, you know, and going around and finding another entrance. I was so cold earlier that I was like going to sack it off, but then I got another pair of gloves and my fingers are a lot warmer, and I decided to do an extra lap because I thought, you know, if you're coming all this way, you may as well just do an extra lap. And it is undoubtedly beautiful. Very, very cold. A lot colder than I thought it was going to be. And I just feel really good. I've got a sense of achievement. Feels great, you know. Bonnie's really enjoying herself. And the people here are really friendly. Bonjour, bonjour. Stuff like that. And yeah, even though the snow is a real ball ache, it really does make things look really quite spectacular, you know. The snow-capped mountains look very, very cool. Certainly a lovely bit of eye candy for a Monday afternoon. I feel so utterly peaceful, so very content. I live a great life, I really do. In fact, someone said to me the other day, a guy at work, I said, "Oh, how are you?" He's like, "Oh, I've been in the wars, you know, I broke my collarbone and I've got a collapsed lung and my mum died." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus, man, that sounds awful." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, but I don't like complaining to you, you know, that's nothing compared to what you go through." And I'm like, took me by surprise, because I thought, well, buddy, you're in the acute stage of bereavement, and you've also had a pretty serious injury. Like I'm just living my life, you know. I had an accident many years ago, but my life this is my new normal now. And it's really weird how he felt like he couldn't complain to me because, I can't complain to you because you're in a wheelchair. But my life's amazing. And then on the flip side, another staff member broke her pelvis on the first day of the season. And all the other staff members were like, "Oh my God, that's so terrible. That's so awful." Oh, and then I was kind of thinking, well, it's not that bad, really. because you're going to make a full recovery from that, and while it's a bit of a temporary pain in the arse, it's nowhere near as bad as a spinal cord injury. It's a odd, I guess, what's the word, juxtaposition of feelings, and yeah, it just occurred to me there while I was lost in thought.
It's funny, the way we measure struggle. One guy thought he wasn't allowed to feel pain because of me. Another person got all the sympathy in the world, and I wondered if I deserved any at all. The truth is, pain isn't a competition, struggle isn't a scoreboard, and no one goes through life without hitting the ground a few times. Heading back, everything feels different now. I feel lighter, like I left something out there on the lake. Maybe doubt, maybe hesitation, or maybe just the excuses I didn't even realize I was making. And that's it. What a day, what a ride. What a reminder that sometimes the biggest things in our way isn't the snow or the hills or even the people that don't get out the way. It's just the story we tell ourselves before we start. Bonnie's been a star today. She knows it's time to head home. The boot, however, has other ideas. So, once again, out comes the shovel.
That is a ball ache. But we got there. We solved the problem. That's the main thing. Glory! Absolute glory! That was a fantastic little outing. My tennis elbow is loads better today than it was last week. I think because I lifted the bike in with my left arm, which I'm getting used to, which is good. Yeah, I just didn't put as much strain on it today, which is good. I feel a huge sense of pride in myself for coming out once again in the snow. What a bonny day. Get it? Bonny day means good idea in French, but also a bonny day. See now, look, we come away from the lake and it is sunny as. Oh my God. Even though I had a really fun time, man, we could have went somewhere sunnier, Bonnie. We could have went somewhere sunnier. And we are home. Home sweet home, baby. Home sweet home.
After a day full of challenges, I was met with a surprise hot homemade meal, made with love. It's moments like these that remind me what balance really feels like. The perfect end to the adventure, Chris and I curled up for an afternoon nap. Simple, peaceful, and perfect.